If you're looking to make some fall or autumn artwork, then I'm going to show you today how to make this gorgeous fall pumpkin wreath, and that is so cute. That is a multi-layered wreath. I'm going to show you how to build it and how to lay it all in Cricut Design Space. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the crafter and designer behind this channel, and I'm here to help you get the best out of your Cricut machine. And today we're going to make this layered fall pumpkin wreath, and it's quite easy to make once you get your head around it. So it just takes a bit of slicing, welding and contouring to build this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide you with the elements. So we've got some stacked pumpkins, vines, and a pumpkin alphabet and number set that you can use any letters or numbers you want to create your wreath with. So you could do a family name, you can do autumn, you can do fall. The choice is yours, and that is going to help you create the top layer. So what we're going to do is we're going to slice it all together. I'm going to show you how to slice the weld letters and the pumpkins together so that you get the contours right. So if you see there's no overlap in there, even though we've got lots of letters together and they do overlap, it looks like the A there is sat on top of the F and the L is sat on top of the other L, so that everything overlaps, but overlaps cleanly with no random lines, which is, if you weld together without slicing, that is what you're going to get. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And all you're going to need is 4 layers of cardstock and some acrylic glue. I use Cosmic Shimmer. I'll pop the link below to that. I've used a white glitter cardstock, green cardstock and orange cardstock, and then I've used a green glitter cardstock for my letters. I've also used some crystal drops just to add a little bit of detail. You can barely see it, but there's just little drops everywhere, every now and again, just to add some dew onto them. So you can add those as well. I cut mine on A4 card purely because it's cheaper. So I get my glitter card in A4. So when I size my projects, you can make it bigger, but I always size it to 8 by 8 just because I want it to fit inside of my A4 card. So let's hop onto Design Space and we will design this one step by step together. So we're going to start by uploading our pumpkins to Cricut Design Space. So we want to save it as a single layer. And then once you've got that into Design Space, we're going to go ahead and add all of the other layers. So we've got a pumpkin. We're also going to add a vine leaf. I use these on so many of my autumn projects. And then we're going to add the letters. So I'm going to add fall. Now when you add them in, they're going to be quite big. So what I tend to do is grab them all as one big lump, and then you can size them smaller. You can scroll out to see and move them away, drag them smaller, then scroll back in on your mouse pad or with your mouse to make your Design Space bigger, because you want it to be at a 12 by 12 size. Then you're going to grab a circle, and this is going to be the template for your wreath. And once you've got that, it's a really good idea to turn it a different colour. So I'm going to turn mine pink, and I'm going to right click and send it to the back. And that way I can move that in and out or turn the eye off so that I can see as I build. I just want to build it around it to get the perfect circle. So we're going to start by positioning our letters. So I've chosen fall. You can use any word you want. You could put a name, a family name, autumn. But yeah, I've gone for this. So I'm going to just position those. You can just about drag on the corner there to position that, and then you're going to start to move them around, because what you want is those 4 letters. We still need another L to cover the top of your circle, and that's going to be the base for the rest of the wreath. So I'm going to duplicate my L so that I've got both my L's in place, and you can see that they're overlapping each other, and that is what I want. Because what I'm going to do in a minute is start slicing out and welding so that we've got those letters, but they're easier to cut rather than just welding them together all at once. So I'm going to move those out of the way. You're going to decide which letter you want to be more dominant. So I want the A, so I'm going to duplicate that, go back to the original and hide all the contours. I'm going to remove the circle for a minute, and I'm going to slice the A out of the F. Now what you want to do now is remove any debris, because you don't want any of that. That's the reason for slicing it out. So I've got rid of the wrong bit. Go back to those, and then when you put your A back in, you can see now that you can see the A, and the A is the dominant letter. It looks like the F is popping behind it, but you've not got the rest of that letter that is going to cause confusion or mess when you weld it together. So you're going to line them up perfectly. When you're happy, select both layers and weld them together. So once you've done that, you're going to pull your first L in. Now you can bring the circle back if you're not sure of positioning. If not, then you can just continue. So duplicate whatever layer you want to be dominant. So I want it to be the F and the A. And you're going to slice that out of the L. So they're going to sit on the top. So now you need to reduce and remove those bits. I'm trying not to move the main letters, but sometimes it's just really difficult not to. But I'm going to get rid of the bits that were in the way that we've sliced out. So again, now when you pop that in, all those pumpkins look snuggled together, so it just looks so much better and it cuts perfectly. And now we're going to drag in our last letter. So we've got the last letter L. So I think I'm going to sit that one on top. So I'm going to duplicate the letter L. And then what we'll do is remove the contours in the layer left over. Hide all those contours. So just go down to contour tool, hide all, and slice that out. And now we're going to slice that out of the rest of it. So I can move that away now because it's a bit chunkier, it's easier to maneuver. But the main thing is when you're doing this is that you've got to make sure, like there you've got a few little bits. Get rid of those because you don't need them, they're going to get in the way. And now I'm going to pop my L in and weld it together. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this is all welded properly and there's no gaps in it. Because if you've got any gaps, if you've missed any bits, then that's not going to cut well. So what we'll do is we'll go and change the colour of our background. So change the background there. I'm going to make it a little bit paler. And then I'm going to change my letters to white. And when your letters are white, you can see that there is a bit there missing. So if you look, if all those other bits are connected well, there's no breaks, but here it just hasn't connected. So you can put a little dot under it and then that will weld together. But because we've got a file with a vine, actually I'm just going to pop a vine in. So I'm just going to, there you go, there's the vine. I'm going to drag that in, so I'll just make that a bit smaller, duplicate it so I've got a spare. I'm going to send that to the back and pull my vine over the top of it, and I'm going to just maybe turn it round a bit. Just use that corner tool, and I'm just going to hover it over the area that isn't cut, because what we want to do is all of that to weld together so it cuts seamlessly. Obviously I can't just plonk it in the middle, I've got to do it so it fits, and once I'm happy that it fits, which just takes a bit of messing about, I'm going to select all and weld, and that will get rid of that break. And you've got to have no breaks in it, because that is the fundamental thing that will go wrong when you cut and when you are contouring, because we're going to make this into multiple layers. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop back in my circle, because we're going to start building up the file. So we're going to drag a pumpkin stack to this side, and what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate it and put it on the other side, but I'm going to flip it so that it's a mirror image. I know this isn't going to be exactly mirrored, but it will just give it a good dimension. So I'm going to do this layer just so it overlaps, so it just touches. So what that means is that I'm not going to slice it. I'm going to do it so it just fits together really well, and that will save me slicing and welding. And then when I'm happy, I can just click on this circle and either remove it or close the eye, select all, and I've welded that together. So there you go, I can pop my circle back in, and we're now going to continue building the wreath. And you can see that it's just, it builds as you go along. It's really good to see it start to take shape. So I'm going to duplicate some of my vine leaves. These are all available, all these elements, in the alphabet, so you can just download the alphabet and you have got not only the letters and numbers, but you've got the pumpkins and the vines as well. And now we're going to add some vines around the top, because I feel like it really needs chunking out at the top of the wreath. So I'm going to flip that on that side. I've popped one on the other side, and it's just about getting a shape that you're happy with, having a design that's going to cut well, and using your eye and your creativity to create something that you're going to love the end result of. So I'm going to add in another pumpkin at the bottom here, and then I need to work out how I'm going to connect that. So I'm going to just make a pumpkin smaller and tilt it. Pumpkins stack, don't they? They stack beautifully in fields, supermarkets, wherever you see them. And that's what I want, a really quirky stacked pumpkin look. So once I'm happy with those two, I'm going to get rid of my circle, just hide it, click on the eye. And then what I want to do is weld this all together. So I've just gone back because I moved it by accident, right click and weld. And then we've got a solid wreath. Now I can pop the last pumpkin in and just build up some vines around the edge. And you just want those to add to the shape so that it looks like a circle. We don't need our circle anymore. That's served its purpose. And once we've got all the vines in, you can see that it's starting to really take shape and starting to look like a great full wreath. And these look brilliant as decorations. So when I'm happy, I'm going to right click and weld the lot together. And then once it's welded, what's really important is that we check again that everything is touching. So I'm going to weld. This is going to be my top layer of my wreath, and I'm going to cut that in white glitter anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that white. And when we do, we will see if there are any areas that aren't touching. So obviously we want the cut file to be white, but also as a secondary thing, it's really good to see if there's any errors, and there's not. So I'm going to duplicate it and I'm going to start contouring. So the first layer I'm going to contour is the pumpkins, because the pumpkins, that's where the most detail is. So what I've done is I have hid all contours. Then I'm going to go and put the contours back that I want. And that's the easiest way to do it if you've got a complicated file like this, because you can just remove everything. And if you've got loads of bits, like the pumpkins would have taken me ages, it's quicker to go back in and put back what I want to keep rather than take out all those tiny little elements of all of those pumpkins. What you've got to be careful here is that you get the bits in between the vines, because if you miss those, then you've got to go back and do it after. But again, that's not a problem, because as long as you notice that there is stuff missing, you can do that. So as we go around the bottom of here, we're just going to pop the contours back in, or take them out, whatever, so that the behind or beneath and around the vines, that's all open. The only thing I want rid of, there you go, is the pumpkins. And that's perfect. I've missed the middle of the A, so I will go back in and change that. What I'll do now is just check it looks good. I'm going to send it to the back, and I'm going to turn that orange so that I can see if I've missed anything else. So I already know I've missed my A, but if there's anything I've missed, I can just go and get rid of it. That's the thing with letters, you've got to make sure you always get rid of the contours in the middle of the letters. So I'll just go to the contour tool, take that out, and then I can do the same with this, or you could delete it and duplicate the other one, but it's only a little bit. And as I say, you can always go back and change stuff after. It really isn't a big drama. So now what I'm going to start doing is removing the contours for my next letter, or my next layer, sorry. So I'm going to remove the letters, and I'm going to keep the vines open. So again, I've gone, removed all, and I'm just going to open the bits that I want to keep, and that is probably just going to be quicker. So when you look at that, I've removed the middle, so I'm going to go back in and take that out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn that green and send it to the back, and then I've duplicated my next layer and removed all of the contours on that. And I just wanted 2 layers of green. I'm going to do this a bit of a darker so you can see there that that then stands out. I'm going to use my letters as glitter and the other one as a flat green. And what we can do now is just make sure we're happy, make sure it's all aligned, and then size it. So because I am cutting on glitter cardstock, I am going to go with 8 by 8. So send it to cut on more pressure, glitter cardstock, and here we are cutting out. So that will take a while to cut, so just set it off and let it go. And here we are, we've got all our layers cut out. So I did 2 shades of green, and the reason I did that is because I wanted my letters to be glittery and stand out, and I'm really glad I did that, because now I've cut it out, it does all make sense. Because these letters are so fine, I am going to be using my Cosmic shimmer glue, and we're going to work from the back forward. I'm going to speed this bit up putting the glue on, because as much as it's satisfying doing this, who wants to sit and watch me apply glue? So we'll fast forward this, And we're just going to make sure that we've got all around the edges so that it really sticks down well. You can use sticky pads to build layered files, and I do often, but because of the elements are quite fine on this, I just thought that would be such a faff. I'd need tiny little sticky pads, and I just want to slide my glue to make sure it's perfectly aligned. And that's what I wanted, to get the green popping through as well, so that I've got two different shades of green. So now we're going to go for the pumpkin layer, and you can see now why we need to do it with glue. Now we could have had an offset off and had the letters a bit chunkier, but then I think that would have affected the pumpkins. It is an intricate cut, this one, and it did take quite a while to cut out. But they're so worth it when they're built. They look lovely. And again, this is something you can put in a box frame. It's a bit easier to take the nozzle off when you've got thicker bits. I mean, you don't want to over put glue on it, but that's really good for the fine areas. It just makes it a bit trickier when you've got big areas to cover, so you can take it off. And then with all layered files, the magic happens with the top layer. So this is like mega fine, this one. I don't usually cut layers this fine. It does show though that you can do it. I just avoid it. I think when I first started using my Cricut, I did a lot finer cuts, but I think you just run out of patience, don't you, that they do take ages. But what I did this morning was I put this on and then went off and blow dried my hair. Now what you can do, if you want to add just a bit of dew on some of your leaves, it's just with the Nouveau drops. These are the glitter gel drops, and they dry. They're just going to be very subtle. And there you go. How gorgeous is that? And how did you get on with that one? It's a tricky one. It's not super easy, but once you get your head around the process, and we'll do one of these every season, and once you've got the elements, so with this you've got your stacked pumpkins, your pumpkins, once you've got all of that and you've got it in your circle and you start to build it in your mind's eye, it becomes easier the more you do it. And it's just all about slicing, welding, and making sure everything's connected. Do let me know how you get on in the comments. Let me know of any ideas for any other wreaths you'd like to make, or any other alphabets, because we're always looking for inspiration and I love creating new things. So do let me know, and thank you so much for crafting along. We'll see you soon. Happy crafting.